Hello and welcome, friends. I have a really fun project today. I am going to make a luggage tag. If you saw my first look video of the We Are Makers oval Crop-A-Dile, that's what I'll be using. I made a little, kind of a little bit of a prototype using one of the pattern papers from the Not Too Shabby Paper Pad Club, and I thought for my video today I'll use the other paper pad to create a second one. Now that I know exactly the measurements that I want and how I want it all to look, I can give you the exact dimensions. So that faux glitter cardstock, the larger piece, it measures 2.5 wide by 4.25 tall. And the floral piece on top measures 2.5 wide by 4 inches tall. So it's a 1/4 of an inch shorter. And I actually want a second piece that is the same size as the taller one. And that's going to be, again, 4.25 tall by 2.5 wide. We're going to double up on that back piece just to make it nice and sturdy as a luggage tag. By the time we're done, this is going to feel very substantial and it's going to be slightly weatherproofed as well. So on that floral piece that's a little bit shorter, I scored a line that is 1/2 inch at the top. And I've got, what I have here is something that I bought I think 2 years ago. Maybe a year ago, I don't know. I was doing some research because I came across a term called cold lamination, and that brought me to this product, which is basically just lamination sheets, and that's a fancy term for acetate, essentially, that has adhesive back. But what makes this actually very cool is that it's crystal clear. So it has adhesive, but it's not as, you couldn't just put, adhesive, like your regular standard double-sided adhesive behind some clear acetate and have it work the same. It would look foggy. This is crystal clear. And the whole idea of this is that if you don't have a lamination machine, then you just use this because it's basically like a big sticker, and you just peel and stick, just as you saw me do with this piece. And what I did, this is going to be that top piece. I actually wrapped it from the front all the way to the back. So this is front and back laminated using this cold lamination sheet. I'll leave a link to it. I got it off of Amazon if it's still available. If not, I might have to find, something similar or equivalent. But I found this to be super convenient because you just cut it down to the size that you want, and then you just peel and stick. Now, what I did was I cut it exactly to 2.5, and I'm gonna laminate the the two pieces that will be the back of my luggage tag, but I'm only going to laminate these on one side. Now, one of the things is because I cut it exactly to the width that I want, I really tried hard to line it up as exactly as I could. And then it's pretty sticky, so peel off the liner and just slowly kind of roll it down. I actually did pretty okay, even though this is the first time I'm using it. I didn't get any bubbles, which I'm really surprised by because I wasn't being quite as careful as I was trying to be. And it's perfect because these sheets are, at least the one that I got, it was long enough where one strip was able to get me exactly, what I needed. Because I think it was like it might be 9 by 11 or 9 by 12 is the size of these sheets. I think it's 9 by 12. It probably is sufficient to, like, if you wanted to laminate an 8 by 10 photo, I think you probably could. So I've got my front pattern paper lined with that lamination sheet front and back. And then the two back pieces, I've only laminated the side that will be visible, because I'm going to actually glue those two pieces together just to make it a little bit sturdier. So those have been laminated. Now, what I've got here is clear acetate. And with this clear acetate, this is thin stuff. It's nothing strong or fancy. But what I'm going to do is make a pocket with this. And ultimately, what I went with was I cut this to be 3.5 inches wide, and I'm going to wrap 1/2 inch around, one of these back panel pieces. And then I ended up going with, I did a little bit of trial and error here, but I ended up cutting this to 4 inches tall, and then again scoring 1/2 inch at the bottom to wrap around the bottom. So I've got 3 glue tabs that are 1/2 inch glue tabs on the left, the right, and the bottom. And what you'll actually want to do is take one of your laminated back panels and just make sure that you can wrap all of these glue tabs around. So I actually had to score again just a smidge wider, because you need a little bit of room to be able to wrap around. So it's better to just kind of score to fit. And then this is where I trimmed this acetate initially way longer than I knew I needed, so that I can kind of estimate, what how far down I wanted to cut it down to, because this is going to be a little pocket that you can then slip your address, your written address. Because remember, this is meant to be a luggage tag, and the idea is that you can pull this little panel out of this clear plastic pocket, and if you move, or if somebody else needs to use your luggage tag, you can swap the address out. And it's behind plastic, so it's slightly weatherproof. Now, none of this is going to be 100% actual waterproof, but it's lined with a lot of plastic so that hopefully it's just a little bit weatherproofed. It can withstand, a light rain. Obviously, if it was submerged in water, it would probably not last, but I don't know that would necessarily happen in the natural course of traveling. But if you had to pull your luggage through some rain, it would probably hold up okay, because all of the exposed pattern papers have been lined with that lamination sheet, at least the front and the sides that you can see. It's not 100% wrapped and sealed like a truly laminated piece of cardstock would be. So on the sides, there's still a little bit of exposed paper, but I think this will be okay. This is just like a cute little something. It's not meant to last, forever and ever and be handed down with your good luggage. But I think it's just meant to be something kind of fun. Like maybe this would be good for your kids' luggage, for example, where they'll probably outgrow it in a matter of, short time. So this pocket is going to be wrapped behind the first layer here of our of the back of our luggage tag. So I did take a moment to attach the front. That was the shorter panel, the floral panel. I just put a strip of double-sided adhesive across the top, at that 1/2 inch where we scored. That way I can hold these two pieces together, and I can really just make sure that I wanted to make sure before I glued the glue tabs over to the back of that panel that there would be enough clearance, that I have enough clearance to actually pull a piece of paper in and out comfortably. And I did punch, or you could use a die to cut just like a little thumb notch through that plastic pocket so that it's easy to pull that sheet of paper that's where you're going to write your address. It's easy to pull that in and out. Now, with the Crop-A-Dile, I don't know for certain. I've only used it once before to make my prototype. I don't know for certain if it will punch through what will be 3 layers of pattern paper plus 4 layers of this lamination sheet. So what I did was I just washi taped everything together. That way, if it doesn't make it all the way through, it's not glued together, I can still separate it. And if I needed to punch it individually, I could still separate it to punch. But it went through so easy peasy. It was basically very effortless. So what I would do in the future, now that I know, I would have just gone ahead and glued all of this together. Basically all I'm doing is adhering the 2 back pieces. And again, I doubled up on the back piece just so that it's really sturdy back there. And this luggage tag is, if it gets, knocked around a little bit, hopefully, this makes it nice and sturdy. It's not just going to bend or tear. And that's the other reason to laminate it. Now, if you have a hot laminator, you could definitely use a hot laminator, and that would make it very secure and a little bit more weatherproofed as well, because it'll seal in the edges also. But I'm going to put a metal grommet. This is an oval grommet, which is perfect. I love this new Crop-A-Dile that has the oval grommets, because that's going to be perfect for slipping in some ribbon, because my ribbon, it's wide. It's about maybe 3/8 of an inch wide, and having the larger opening means that you can slip in like a wider ribbon like this, and 1, it's a lot easier. 2, it looks I think arguably it looks nicer than if you just had a circle through there, and it also looks a little bit more like a traditional luggage tag. So I'm gonna cut a stretch of ribbon here. I'm gonna leave it long enough so that there's enough length for you to tie this onto your luggage handle, and maybe double knot it, so it's nice and secure. But yeah, that's it for my custom little luggage tag. So isn't this pretty? It's a lot nicer than just your standard one that might have come with the luggage that you bought. There's so many beautiful pattern papers out there. I could totally see doing these for kids and their kid luggage. It's super cute. You don't have to be overly precious with the luggage tag itself, because it doesn't need to last forever, especially if it's just for kids. But I did take some extra steps to make it a little bit weatherproof, not waterproof, but just a little bit more weatherproof. You've got an acetate pocket here. That's where you would slip your address card in, and everything is lined with those cold self-adhesive lamination sheets. Really, really awesome. Had a lot of fun making this, and I'll leave links to that oval Crop-A-Dile if it's something that you're interested in, and I'll leave links to the Not Too Shabby Paper Pad Club and the other subscription clubs for this month. Thanks so much for checking out my video, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.